I really wanted to talk about this Jordan Poole, like running down the clock when you're losing by 10 thing.
Oh.
It's one of the most perfect player signature moments in NBA history. If that's not a Jordan Poole move.
Nick Young walked so Jordan Poole could fly. Like let's just
listen, man, that was just impressive tanking. Okay, Lazarus O asks, will the Wizards set an unprecedented record of losses where they've allowed 140 plus points? They've already got 3 such losses. Does this make them one of the worst teams ever? Well, we happen to have a numbers guy. Seth did the numbers, and I'm going to go out on a limb, Seth, and say that the Washington Wizards will not allow 140 plus points 24 or more times like the Denver Nuggets did. What year was that?
90-91. That was when they had Paul Westhead, and they tried to bring the Loyola Marymount style to
the system
to the NBA. And I mean, to be fair to that Nuggets team, they were very bad defensively. They are also the highest pace team. They played at about 115 possessions per game, which,
and where would that be in the league now?
It would be first. I mean, the league is at the
by
highest pace by about, I don't know by about how much, probably about 10 possessions a game. The league as a whole is at just right around 100 right now. So it's, another 15% on top of what is a extremely high pace environment that we're playing in now. So, even if you scale that to like defensive rating of games over 130, last year's Blazers had 21 games where they allowed a defensive rating of 130 or more. And I believe the Wizards have done it 2 or 3 times this year.
The Pacers have allowed 150 twice already this season.
And won
once.
Yeah.
we are in a totally different world when you're scoring that much in regulation. I mean, this is just, the defense is not existent in the NBA right now. Second part of this question. That one was just fun. Dean H., who doesn't expect any Wizards talk, but he wants a minute on how comically bad this Wizards team is and how terrible of a situation it is in DC. The team on the court could be the worst since Abe Pollin sold the team. Off the court, fan apathy is probably at an all-time high, and that's really saying something for the Washington Wizards.
This is paying the piper of not dealing Beal sooner.
Right. This is making that mistake in that sense. But I also think, look, this team's awful. They know they're awful. They have set themselves up to have possible trade assets. I think, whether Kuzma gets dealt this year at the deadline or in the offseason, there are going to be teams lining up for them. This is what it looks like when you're beginning to demo the house. Right. And I think this is what they're doing. I mean, get ready, Washington, for like a long rebuild. I'll give you this, though. I'll give you a little bit bright spot, like one shiny, tiny bit of light. I really enjoy Bilal Coulibaly.
He can play.
And he's further ahead than I think anybody even expected, including the Wizards. Like, I think, he's shooting it at a pretty high level. He looks comfortable. He makes the right passes. He swings the ball. He drives when he's supposed to. He's defending. He's doing all the small things. Unfortunately, he's not going to get a lot of touches because Jordan Poole's there trying to run out the clock, even though it's not running, or the other way around. It is. I forget this. It was so dumb. I don't even remember fully what happened.
He didn't know the play. He didn't play. He doesn't pay attention during timeouts, Mo.
No, I mean, there's just so many things with that. But like, they are setting themselves up to be able to now doing it late, but they're setting themselves up to try to, hey, I think they're trying to make sure they're in position to not this draft, but next draft, get Cooper Flag. And I think
lower the flag or raise the white flag for Cooper
or Cam Boozer.
I don't know what we're doing here for Cooper Flag, but you're doing something.
Yeah, they're playing around with a lot of this stuff. And I think what you're watching for right now is like, it is comically bad. It's awful. Like, it's just not, it's a
but
tough
embrace
watch.
It.
But
you're going to see Jordan Poole do something insane almost every single night that we've never seen before. So just embrace it. It's fun.
You're going to see the dumbest thing on a nightly basis. Like, it's sort of like how when we talk about watching Wemby and even Chet to a degree when we see stuff going like, I didn't know you could do that. It's the other way
In a
around
bad
with
way.
him.
Except it's like
Yeah.
it's more going to be Poole saying, "I didn't know you couldn't do that."
Right. I think there's I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there, but like it's going to be tough in Washington for a while. Like this is the start of the rebuild. It's long overdue. They've been resistant to do it. They're finally doing it, and now it's gonna be painful for a little bit.
I mean, this is your New Year's resolution. How bad you feel when you go back to the gym for the first time, and
Right.
it's like you feel terrible, but it's better you did than you didn't. And they're late on this rebuild, but at least they've kind of not only have chosen this path, but have turned over their leadership, and the new leadership clearly has a mandate to go down this path. So if you are sick of sort of being stuck on not even quite the middle, like where you're gunning for that 9th seed every year, and now, okay, that's enough of that. Let's be real bad and then hopefully get good again in the future. At least you started on that path.
Yeah. I mean, and look, the best time to start a rebuild for a bad team is a year ago, right? Second best time yesterday. Might as well start today. And this is actually the first, this is objectively the first year of what's going to be a 2 or 3, maybe 4-year rebuild. I think this year will probably be the least amount of fun for Wizards fans because it's just Bilal, and that's about it. That's like the only hope you've got.
And he's
Whereas
sort of
by
a
next
side dish
summer-
this year.
right?
Whereas
Exactly.
next year, like if it's like this guy's interesting, and maybe next year's the year he's like, this might be a dude.
You're
right.
You're honestly hoping, if you're Washington fans, they move Kuzma at the deadline. They find a taker for Poole in the offseason. I mean, like, I don't know if you will, but I know you're shaking your head.
If I'm trying to get a top 3, if I'm trying to get a top 3 draft pick, Jordan Poole is the captain of my team.
I
mean,
that is.
I'm putting we want a 35 usage. I want him taking 20 shots a game. There's no one I can think of who's more well suited to lose, 70 games in a season.
No, but I think the problem is you also need to develop your guys as you're going through.
Right.
And that's just not happening. Like, I'll just be like, it was a few weeks ago, but there was I think it was the Toronto Washington game. Bilal Coulibaly comes in the first quarter, 4 minutes left. I'm almost positive he didn't have a single touch. I'm almost positive he didn't touch the ball for 4 minutes. And I think that even includes inbounding. Like, it's just like, that's the problem. But you just want to hope they really do strip these things, tear this thing down to the studs, even if it means moving Denny, like whatever. Like, it's right now, you need to just start to being at the very bottom to get started. It's going to be a long process. I don't know how people will feel about saying trust the process, but this is what the deal is for that.
Also,
I think if you are going to say trust, though, they do have. Mike Winger is a very well respected front office. Came from Oklahoma City and the Clippers, and so I think that there is more reason to. It's not sort of like a member of kind of the. They used to call it in Minnesota. They used to call it the country club, whereas everyone kind of came out of the same circle. And Washington has sort of turned that over as well. I will say I think I'm a little more with Dave than with Mo on the tanking thing, just because I don't think you have enough of your go forward guys even on the roster yet to for the reps to like it's Coulibaly and that's kind of it.
That's enough. That's enough. You're going to lose 70 games still. You're still going to lose.
Point taken.
Yeah. I just feel, honestly, I feel bad for Wes Unseld Jr. I mean, a head coach, a young head coach being in that position. I'm hoping that like we hear some extension news where they're just like, hey, we know this is bad.
They're not. I mean, they're setting up for failure, and it's a massive problem.
I mean,
when they do that with guys and things like that, like let's just be honest. And this isn't on West. That's a losing culture being set in Washington. Nobody coming down on Poole, not paying attention in the timeouts, and then trying to find out at the last second what the play is. Like that needs to be dealt with on several levels. And I mean, that's the stuff. That's a losing culture that they're setting up, and that's actually, to be honest, the downfall of Brett Brown.
Yeah.
You want to
Oh,
talk about
100%.
and it's
Yeah.
you got to be careful with it playing out. I got to give Oklahoma City credit. I went nuts on them a year or two ago. Remember? And I think you got to look at what they've done with Mark Dagnall. Like he's done a great job, and they've also, in the process of tanking, developed guys. And I think that's been an important thing. And he's a great coach, and I think that's an important aspect with that. And I think you're seeing the fruits of that. And I don't think Washington is going to do that with Wes. And even if they get close to being good, they'll fire him.